Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and welcome to the next stage of today's program. My name is Roderick van Grieken. I'm the director of the Netherlands Debate Institute, and over the next hour it is my task to get you involved in an interactive House of Commons debate. I think it is now time to show us the first motion, if I could have the first motion. And if you could click one extra time. Europe's problem with GM crops came from poor communication. Now this is the motion. Think of it, let's say 10 seconds. And now make up your mind. If you agree with this motion, please move this end. If you disagree with the motion, please move to that way. You can walk now. Okay, now, look around you, meet your new friends, look across the other end, and feel disappointed by these people that are not on your side of the house. Your only and sole objective now is to convince the people opposite you that you are right. And of course, at the same time, you listen carefully to the debate and you make up your own mind. If you're being convinced, feel free to move to the other side. Now, this is also the time that I'm going to introduce the first two speakers that will defend the motion during exactly 2 minutes that they have. Now, it is very important, after having heard how we sort of force these people into this debate, that they are being supported by the people behind them. So, if I give the name of the first speaker, I really expect you all to follow British tradition and to shout, "Hear, hear," as loud as you can, so that the person that has to make the speech really feels confident, he feels that he has friends, and he will give the best speech of his life during 2 minutes. Now, if sometime during the debate you hear something that you disagree on, you can shout, "Shame," signaling that you do not agree with what's being said, and this could help the debate to go on. Okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, could I please now introduce the Prime Minister defending the motion during the first 2 minutes for the proposition side of the House. Could I have a massive hear here for Mr. Gareth Harding? He is editor of thiseurope.com, and if Johan could now set the clock on 2 minutes, it's your time.
Well, I feel I've won the debate already, clearly, so I think we can end now. It feels like Nicolas Sarkozy up here with my huge majority on the right. My name is Gareth Harding. I'm a journalist, as I said. I'm also a committed environmentalist and anti-poverty campaigner, which is precisely why I'm in favour of GM crops. Because I believe that biotech has the potential to not only create more food for a hungry planet, help eradicate diseases and serious illnesses, and protect the environment by producing plant strains that don't gobble up herbicides and pesticides and so on. I'm probably preaching to converted, many of you here. But if GM crops are so great, how come they're so unpopular with the European public? Opinion polls show about 70 to 80% of the European public against GM crops, despite a slew of reports from august bodies showing that there's no real health dangers or environmental dangers. Now, we're supposed to live in an age of reason where science trumps superstition. Yet when it comes to GMOs, the debate suddenly gets medieval, and facts seem to fly out of the window. And pressure groups bear some responsibility for this. No one's died or been taken ill by GM crops, yet they've managed to convince the public that such foods are Frankenstein foods, likely to create two-headed babies and change the sex of their pets. Now, the misinformation about GMOs is staggering, and yet politicians, to a certain extent, and even industry, are doing little to combat it. The result is policy ignorance, public ignorance, and a policy vacuum, which is a lethal combination. The problem is politicians can't dismiss voters who clearly believe that GM crops are the work of the devil. So how do we turn around this disastrous public image of GMOs? Industry has a great responsibility here. At present, biotech firms, they seem to have surrendered the debate or the PR battle to environmental groups such as Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth. Instead of letting these organizations get away with the scaremongering they're putting out about the dangers of GMOs, industry should focus more on communication and less on policy papers.
Thank you very much. 2 minutes is 2 minutes, I'm afraid. Thank you very much. You're a party leader, ladies and gentlemen. We now move to the leader of the opposition. Please, a big here, especially from this side of the House, to Patricia Ossebeyer. She is, just to introduce her, she's the Managing Director of Kluiver Center for Genomics of Industrial Fermentation. 2 minutes for you.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Harding, the easy thing for me to say now is, of course, it's not to do with poor communication. It's to do with European dysfunctionalities, and that's something completely different. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not really happy with the statement because it's not about poor communication. It's about too late communication. And because it was too late, and because therefore there was a hostile environment where no seeds could grow in anymore. I mean, nobody could do anything anymore. So the public really saw confirmation in the bad things and the Frankenstein foods that were possessed and put forward in the press. And no good nor bad communication can help that to change that. How do you defend Frankenstein food? I'll ask you. But we learned a lot, and from this whole 15 years of debate on biotechnology, we now know that except for starting early with any new technology, there's also some lessons to be learned. And one is, of course, that communication is not by definition acceptance. And that's something that's underlying in this statement. And that's why I also don't agree with this statement. You can communicate, but don't expect that you will get acceptance. You've got to understand the issues. Because if you talk about risk, and if people worry about risk, and you talk about the statistics of the risk, then you can predict that it is not going to happen. Because risk is perhaps not the issue, but the gut feeling. And you can say as much as you like, but a rational debate with 80% of people who fare on emotions is perhaps not such a wise decision to do. So please, do the 20% of the debate on rationality, but also don't ignore the emotions.
Okay.